yoga because of sports. I was with a lot of martial arts in high school, and I had taken 1 year off before going to college to come learn yoga in India. And that's when I met Sadhguru, who is the founder of Isha Foundation. And I came to learn Kalaripayattu, which is the mother of all martial arts. But never ended up going to Kerala and learning Kalaripayattu. Ended up in Coimbatore itself with Sadhguru and stayed there for the whole year, and then came back and finished college. Then after college, worked for 1 year and then came full time to Isha. So why I'm sharing this is that, Dr. Anandji, just before the session, he was sharing with me about this session that's coming. He was explaining how there was this national games and yoga was part of that. So I actually didn't see that. I thought I was curious and I just took a video.
Welcoming Professor Ilangovan sir. Welcoming Professor Ilangovan sir, who has spent his whole academic career in the field of sports and yoga. So welcome you, sir.
So just before the session in the afternoon, Dr. Anandji was just sharing with me that there was a national sports competition and yoga was part of it, and I never saw it, so I just opened the video and saw it. And the moment I saw the video, then I knew why IYA made the right decision of not supporting yoga as sports. The reason being that, when you're approaching yoga as sport, actually it's no more yogasana. The yoga actually goes off, it just becomes asana, and you end up with just gymnastics actually. So why I'm saying this is, the whole purpose of yoga fundamentally is to establish oneself in a dimension that's beyond the physical. This is something very, very subtle. When it comes to sports, there's nothing about establishing anything within yourself, let alone beyond the physical. It's about winning. It's a competition. You could say that to win, you need to become a yogi, you need to be balanced and peaceful within yourself. All that is fine, but at the end of the day, if you don't win, you're not a good sports person. So right now, for example, our Indian cricket team, everybody's in love with them because they're winning. Suppose they don't win the next few matches, forget it. That relationship of love, that we're holding them as gods, suddenly it twists and turns and they become the worst of the worst if they lose. So to be a successful sports person, you need to win. So when your purpose is different and you're approaching yogasana, definitely the way the approach is going to be different. So this is where subjective versus objective sciences come into play. Yoga is a subjective science. Subjective means how you approach it, how you are within yourself, how you receive it, in what atmosphere you receive it from, who you receive it from, is as important as what you do. Just now in the session before, many reasons of why to practice yoga. There are health benefits, there are so many things that we can gain from practicing yoga. But what is rarely spoken about is how to practice yoga. What is the approach? What is the subjective dimension and how to receive it? And this is something that's been carried on in the tradition, in the Guru Shishya Parampara, to offer this in a very particular way. How is as important, if not more important than what? But when it comes to sports, there is no subjectivity to it. This is about objectivity. This is about doing something with a certain objective. Now, I don't know if anybody has read this book called Moneyball by Michael Lewis. I don't know if you've read this book. It came out as a movie actually. So this was a movie based on a true story. It's a novel actually, it's based on a true story. How in the West, in baseball, they tried to approach baseball subjectively. That means this pitcher we feel is good, this batter we feel is good, and then using their feeling they try to make a team together. But a group of guys from some Ivy League college who know just mathematics, they put all the statistics down. They said, no, the way to approach it is completely different. They just use algorithms and they put a team together. And the team that was the lowest, this is a true story, the team that was the lowest became one of the top teams just because they used mathematics in a particular way. So sports is very objective. It's very objective in nature. So the moment you approach it differently, you're going to do it differently as well. So the moment you approach yogasana like a sport, what happens is One thing is you're going to do it hard. When you do sports, how are you supposed to train? You have to train hard, isn't it? How are you supposed to play? You're supposed to play hard. Everything you're supposed to do hard. But when it comes to yoga, from day one, when I learned yoga from my guru, from Sadhguru, and when we teach people yoga, the first thing he said is when we talk about yogasana, you don't do it hard. You don't do it like an exercise. Because this is about using your physical body to attain to a certain subtle dimension within yourself. We're trying to manipulate our energies using our physical body. Once you do this, you shouldn't do it hard. This has to be approached gently. It has to be approached subtly. Only then this dimension is there. Otherwise, it's just an exercise. So it's very important that when you're approaching yoga, we do it in a very subtle and gentle way. This doesn't mean that we're not doing things difficult. We are doing many things difficult. Even for many people, just sitting cross-legged is a difficult thing. But it's about doing it gently, with awareness, with full awareness approaching it. When it comes to sports, it's about doing it hard. The other thing when it comes to sports is there's the competitive aspect to it. When it comes to yoga, again, something my guru taught me was, you don't compare. It doesn't matter how well the person next to you is doing their asana. You don't compare. You do it to the best of your ability. And your striving should be how to improve your yoga practice day by day, comparing yourself to yourself, not to anybody else. The moment you compare to somebody else, it becomes a different process altogether. So if somebody does 50 repetitions or scores 50 points, what do you want to do? You want to not 51, you want to get 100. You want to do 150 because it's a competition. So the moment you make it a competition, the whole inward focus of yoga goes. It just becomes asana. That yoga goes away once you're focusing on the outside. And once you bring these two things together, when you bring doing things hard and doing things competitively together, this will inevitably lead to injury. And we're seeing this in sports all the time. Sports, people are striving and striving, which is wonderful, which is beautiful to see how people are striving. All the time people are talking about how the fitness levels of our cricket team has increased dramatically. This is wonderful. When you're striving to compete, when you're striving to win, you're looking at fitness in a very particular way. But in my experience, I've seen that most people who are in competitive sports end up injuring themselves in some way that is quite detrimental later on in their life. I've met many retired sports people that have come to us, many prominent people that have come to us after their retirement. You could tell they're a sports person from a mile away because they can't even sit on the ground, they can't even bend their knees, their injuries to the knees, to the back, to the legs. So inevitably, when you bring sports into yogasana, you do things hard, you do things competitively, it will inevitably lead to injury. And when you practice classical yoga, there should be no question of injury. Just now we're talking about yoga for health. Now you want to use yoga to injure yourself. There are better ways to injure yourself. Why do you want to use yoga for that? Yoga should be for health. Yoga is about keeping your body in such a way till the last day you live, till you drop dead. You have all your faculties with you. Everything with you. How you were at 18 years of age. That's how you should be when you're dead also. You can remain all these faculties, but you have to approach it the right way if you want this to happen. And the other aspect is the moment the sports aspect comes in, then the whole inward nature of yoga goes. I was watching that video of the national competition, and one thing I noticed is that everybody has their eyes open. When it comes to yogasana, something my guru always taught me, is to hit us when we don't do it, eyes should be closed. There are specific asanas, yes, eyes open, but always eyes closed. Why eyes closed? Because we're trying to bring in inner experience. We're trying to cultivate an inner dimension. Eyes should be closed. And it doesn't matter who's outside, what's happening outside. It doesn't matter because it's about you. It's about your system, your body, your mind, your emotion, your energies. The moment you open your eyes, gone. Everything's distracted. And I also noticed everybody's smiling when they're doing asanas, which I find very irritating because, see, when I'm practicing my asanas and I close my eyes, if something pleasant happens within me, wonderful happens within me, and a smile comes, wonderful, amazing, I'll bow down to that. If you're practicing your yogasana and something beautiful arises within you and a smile comes, I'll bow down to that. But you're smiling because you're in a competition, because somebody is judging you. I'm sorry, that is not yogasana. And also, what are we judging people on? You're going to be judging people on the difficulty of the asana, isn't it? That's what you're going to be judging on. Because the purpose of it is competition. What are you going to compete on? The difficulty of the asana. So right now, for example, in most traditions, the highest asana is not some difficult asana with some unpronounceable name. It's not Shirasasana, it's not anything difficult. In most traditions, I know at least in our tradition, the highest asana is Siddhasana. Because the very purpose is liberation. The very purpose is to establish yourself in a dimension that's beyond the physical. So in most traditions I've seen, Siddhasana is held as the highest asana. But right now if I sit in Siddhasana, nothing dramatic about it. I won't win any competition sitting in Siddhasana. And just now in the back before this, I was sitting in Siddhasana, in a different state within myself, completely different kind of experience within myself. Who's going to judge that? Who's going to judge whether I'm more peaceful or more ecstatic than somebody else next to me? How to judge that? So what you'll judge on the difficulty of the asana, and you'll judge on how long you can stay in that, not about how still you can be on that. So I was seeing these videos of these kids, they're literally pushing themselves and straining in the asana. This is the wrong way to approach it. It will cause more damage than good. So right now, I know our work at Isha Foundation has been, I know many of your work has been, to establish the other dimensions of yoga, not just the physical aspects. Even Dr. Ganesh in your talk in the afternoon, you were saying that if yoga is not in the context with which it's evolved and the whole philosophy around it, then it's just empty. It's just empty. So the best way for me to put this is that this is like a wonderful airplane, the science of yoga. It's like a wonderful airplane, the science of yogasana. Now we want to clip the wings and make it into a bus. I'm sorry, that's too tragic for me to see. Some people say, anyway, it's a bus, it's useful. But I'm sorry, it's a bad bus when people are trying this. So, Balaji, just to end, you were just saying how to bring yoga into asana, at least maintain it in a certain way. I was struggling, I was thinking about it this whole few hours about how to do this. I thought the best way to do it is just take away the word yoga, just make it asana, or call it Indian gymnastics, perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it. So I definitely stand by the IYA's decision with this.
Thank you so much, Swami Ulasa. Very beautiful exposition that gives us a very dramatic perspective on why IYA took a decision, and that's why we are having this panel discussion to look at different angles. And
just to add to this, I mean, this is definitely my perspective, and this is the perspective from the tradition I'm from, and where we're from. It doesn't mean that people should not do this. People are free to do whatever they want.
Exactly.
It's just that this is how we look at it.
Perfect. I think that is a very beautiful way to put it, and we are taking it forward. Thank you so much, Swami Ulasa. Over to you, Mayur.
Yeah. This is good? Jai Gurudev. It's been a long, tiring day for all of you. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do some asanas. You know, I learned this from Gurudev, Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji. Like how Swamiji was telling a little bit about myself before I start. So this topic is very apt for me because I was a bodybuilder. So I used to lift weights, and I know I used to do 108 Surya Namaskars every day for 6 months. Then I used to flaunt, I got 6 packs with 108 Surya Namaskars. So how I moved from the physical aspect to the subtler aspects of yoga is the credit purely goes to Gurudev, because I still remember how Gurudev picked me, and he really opened my eyes towards what yoga means. For me, yoga was more physical, to look fit and to be healthy in the body. Of course, yes, I was meditating and all those things. But the real aspect of yoga was unknown for me until Gurudev opened my eyes. So then my real yoga journey started. So before we go into it, I like to start with two words that have always kept me awake in this world of my journey of exploring the inner world. Shreyas and Prayas. In the Katha Upanishad, these two words always keep me aware. What is Shreyas? Shreyas is simply means that which makes you establish in your Atman, in yourself, what is good for yourself, your soul. And Prayas is something that what is pleasurable for your senses. Right? So now, we are subjected with these two things. Asana as a competition is definitely praise. Right? It is very pleasurable to watch all those people flexible, doing all these wonderful asanas. But is it really good for your Atma? Yes, it is if this helps you to go inwards. Then it is. Right? If you answer the three questions, I think it brings us to the perspective. What is the purpose of yoga? What is the purpose of asana in yoga? And what is the purpose of competition? If these three questions are answered, then we're very clear whether is this the way forward. We all know what is the purpose of yoga. I don't have to tell you. We all know so many definitions from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Very simple. Yoga is that tata drashti swarupya avastha. That puts you in touch with yourself, who you are. Now, if you see in a competition, it is all about who is better than who. Is the person, am I better than the other person? Right? In the very definition, when I say, am I better than you, then I have created two, duality, which is not yoga. Yoga is moving from two to one. Has the competition made it possible? No, it has created by the definition of the word competition, it has made two. I am separate from you, so I have to be better than you. So the very calling yoga as a competition itself is against yoga. If you see the Yoga Sutras, the definition of the benefit of yoga, it says tato dvandva anabhigata. Means yoga asana, if you become siddh in it, it helps you to overcome the duality. But the asana competition is actually creating duality. Right? So the very foundation in which asanas made as a competition itself is against the real core principles of yoga. Yes, we all used to say there's a school of thought, we have to make yoga attractive to the youth. We want to bring youth. We don't have to do it. Yoga is already $1 billion industry. It shows that yoga is so big, we need to move from attractiveness to authenticity. Right? Yoga is not competition, it is contemplation. Right? How do you measure something that is intangible? How do you have, as Swamiji was telling, how do you measure your personal experience? Right? Your experience of you facing your everyday challenges, how you have become better as a person. Now, how do you measure it? There is no scale. I always, in my courses, when I explain, when we talk about dharana, dhyana, samadhi, so there are no bulbs. There's a red bulb, yellow bulb, green bulb. You're meditating, and from dhyana you move to dharana. Bulb goes dharana, dharana, dharana. It doesn't happen that way, right? So your inner journey is something that is very personal, okay? And this cannot be measured in a competition. This is the thing. Right? So we in IYA, we are the ones, we have to stand for this against making yoga as a display and sport. Right? That takes the real heart away from it. Right? Yes, there was a time you can say, people start with the physical but eventually move to deeper aspects of yoga. I know, I recently met with one of young yoga teacher, an Indian teacher from Dubai. He has set 5 Guinness World Records, and he has broken his own records 5 times of holding Virchikasana for more than 29 minutes. He was sharing his experience from childhood. He had always been taught about how to be better, how much can you bend. But as he grew wiser and mature, then he realized that yoga has much more deeper aspects to it. Then he became a yoga teacher, learned all these aspects. Then he started teaching it to people, and he took it as a responsibility. And I think that is a simple example that shows how, though you have started in the physical aspect, you have moved on to the deeper aspects. But the moment you put competition, you have restricted that person who has started with the competition to stay in the competition with the body. You know, let them move in the progressive journey towards yoga. Right? So this very thing itself says that, you know, making it as a competition, then definitely you have taken the real essence, the purpose of it, right? So having said this, I would like to share a small experience about, this is little, the topic is a little different. Couple of years back, the Skill Ministry of India. How many of you have heard about Skill Olympics? Have anybody of you heard about Skill Olympics? Like how we have Olympics for sports, there is an Olympics for skill. How many of you heard about it? Alright, it happens on an international level on different skills, like example, painting, makeup, like plumbing, all this. So they have the skill ministry in the world, like that they have different skills that is offered to people as a service. So the Indian Skill Ministry wanted to introduce yoga also. So that was the first time they had approached us, that they were planning to approach different yoga organizations. They had approached us too. So we had taken it up. And we realized that the first moment when you say yoga as a competition, they will say, let's do asana demonstration, right? So we thought if we let go of this opportunity, then we have lost an opportunity to at least whoever is coming or whoever is conducting this competition to see what yoga is on the deeper aspect. So we said, okay, we will do the competencies for us. So we made it into different categories. Yes, we kept the asana part to it. So the people, they had to learn the philosophy of yoga. The people have to learn how to deliver it. The people have to learn meditation. The people have to go through proper training and how to manage their own mind, how to be sensitive towards people, how to apply the knowledge of yoga. We created a simple competency based on all these parameters. And we got all the people who applied, we trained them through these things, removed the sense of competition away and brought a sense of sharing and caring. So the people who were competing against each other, they were all trained together as brothers and sisters. And the whole objective of that was to open their minds towards yoga's not just asana. Yoga is not just philosophy also, it is a complete integration of yourself with becoming a wiser person. So we designed the competencies, we trained them and we offered it for them, and that was something that we did knowing that if we don't take that step, then competition stays with the physical aspect, the other aspects of yoga forgotten. And the experience of the students who participated, who are just 18 years old, 19 years old, they were saying they did not know this much is there to yoga. They thought they were all so flexible. And one of the persons said, we realized that yoga is not about how much you can bend, but it's about how you bend. So for them who are so caught up in the physical aspect, but because we created such a broader aspect that they have to approach yoga and all these aspects, not just look at asanas. This became an opportunity even for people who were wanting to compete to get exposed to different aspects of yoga. Right? Again, so this we did purely with the intention that we want to, even for the ministry to know that you cannot make yoga as a competition just on asanas. Right? Or else anyway they're going to go and do it. That's a different thing. You cannot stop them, they're going to do it if you don't do it. But we thought, this could at least broaden their perspective towards bringing a holistic approach, not just stick to the physical aspect. Right? So this I wanted to bring it to you because even when we happened to know about the Skill Olympics, we didn't know about it. And eventually this is going to happen, and it's better for us to create such all-inclusive competency than some Western country coming and saying just, okay, you bend, how much you bend, how much complex you do, how much you can stand on your hands, so you are the best yogi. Right? So if you see, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that, who is more dearest to me, Arjuna, a yogi. Right? Now, who is a yogi? Then he lists all those qualities. Now, there is no way you can measure those qualities. So, but asana is a good place to start. But if the focus shifts from just the asana to the holistic aspect, it definitely will bring awareness. But having said that, only keeping the asana, it's a wise decision that all the able wise people, gurus and teachers and sadhaks have taken that, keeping only approaching yoga in the physical aspect, you are taking the soul out of it. Yesterday in the talk, Gurudev was mentioned, if you remember, recently we had the World Culture Festival in the US where 1 million people participated on the first day. Second day, there were more than 600 yoga schools have participated in the Lincoln Memorial and they did yoga with Gurudev. So that was a phenomenal feat to bring such varied people to one place to make them experience the authentic yoga. And there one teacher had told Gurudev, we have sanitized yoga in the West. We have removed Om, we have removed meditation, we have removed that. Gurudev laughingly told, you cannot sanitize yoga, yoga sanitizes you. Right? So it's very important that all the gurus of all the traditions, all the schools, they have come together and in one voice telling that, please don't take the soul out of you. Right? And you cannot do it because why? We in IVA are standing firm on this. We, as the custodians of this ancient wisdom, it is our responsibility to keep it pure. Right? Having said that, knife, if you take a knife by itself is neither negative nor positive. It's how you use it. Right? So competition, some people like how Swamiji was telling, how even Anandji was saying that it is, people are going to conduct it. But if we can put some, I can say perspective to them that, okay, making competitions, okay, make it, go ahead. We're not stopping it, but at least make it holistic. Don't just put people's attention on just physical body, and take away the real soul. Right? So, saying this, I conclude. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity.
Thank you so much. I think we have had another very beautiful perspective where, as he said, it's not the tool that is dangerous, but the person using it. And the laser in the hands of a surgeon can save a life, and the laser in the hands of a terrorist can take lives. So part of it is a tool, another beautiful perspective. And coming to Professor Ilangovan sir, who has served for many decades in the Tamil Nadu Sports University. He is then been one of the pioneers. In fact, he was the first official professor of yoga in Tamil Nadu. Really a great academician. Currently, he is the most prolific, Tamil Nadu state chapter. They keep on adding life members and professional members like anything. Karnataka is also doing a great job, but Tamil Nadu especially, every day there will be a congratulation that he has added a new life member to IYA. So on behalf of the IYA team, I thank sir, and very active in multiple disciplines over the years.
Good evening to one and all. I express my sincere thanks to the organizers for having given this opportunity, very particularly to Subodhji, Anandaji, then our Sridharan sir, and also our Ravi sir for having given this opportunity. It is the right occasion, right time, at the right audience to speak about this topic. You please keep it in your mind that yoga has been evolved in various stages from 5,000 years ago. Once yoga, there are so many paths, At one period of time, yoga was, Jnana yoga was very dominant. Even there was a competitive debate between Yajnavalkya and Gargi, you might have known. After some time, the period has been changed to Karma Yoga. And before Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga was dominant. After that, Karma Yoga has been dominant. Now it is the time for Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is one of the rivers of the field of Yoga, the ocean. Yoga is the ocean, and yogic asana competitions are one of its rivers. So I am for yoga competitions. You please remember that our chairperson's father, Swami Geetananda Giriji, was the first yogi to introduce international yoga competitions in the year 1989. If we could have been started our actions from that day onwards, we could have been seen yogi yasana competitions in Asia at this level. And we could have imagined that it would have been incorporated at least in 2036 that India is going to stage. They are trying. So yoga competitions, how yoga has been evolved, this field of yoga also is being evolved, and Hatha Yoga now we are having, it is one of the part and parcel of these Yogasana competitions are one of the part and parcel of yoga. That it is for social change. Let us think about positively. One person can change the whole world. How Iyengar has changed with Hatha Yoga. You could have imagined that Pele, how he changed the football game into world level. Now it is for your kind information, already the government of India and many of the states, they accepted that yoga competitions, the government itself they accepted, Ayush Ministry accepted, and the youth welfare and sports they accepted. Now it is the time how we have to make it as a positive answers. They are telling so many drawbacks. Might be there, we accept. But how we can positively think about the growth and development of yogic field. See, for your kind information, at present 254 countries are there. 200 countries they embraced yoga, and the remaining countries we have to target. Out of 811 crore people, only 230 crore people are doing and are accepting yoga as a science. Now the remaining people we have to concentrate. You can take the example of cricket is being to be included in 2028 Olympics, Los Angeles Olympics. How the organizers and how the International Olympic Committee thinks, if we add cricket, we can get another 250 crore people into our world. Viewership will be more, audience will be more, fans will be more, government's contributions will be more on cricket. So like that they are making it as a professional game. So what my feeling is, almost all have been accepted. It is in the Khelo India game, nationals they are conducting, and also everything is right, perfect. But the concept is, there are certain drawbacks at grassroots level. And also it is accepted as a science. Yoga previously it was told about that it was only philosophical concept. Now they accept that it is a science, because if a subject is to be considered as a science, it has to be observed, has to be measured, has to be recorded. So yogic concepts come under all these observations, measurements, and also recording aspects. So many plus points only. The thing is, we have to channel this. Scientifically, we have to take yogic competitions. That is the problem. They are telling about technology. Let us use technology. Electronic scoring system we will have. If you think that the young children will be affected because they involved in the yogic competitions, then we will have support team. There are so many support people, coaches are there, trainers are there, managers are there, physiotherapists are there, medical experts are there, nutritionists are there, psychologists are there. They will protect. So due to time constraints, my point is already accepted. Now we have to take it at Asian level, then Olympic level. If in Olympics, 75 countries they have to accept, 4 continents they have to accept. If it is women, 40 countries they have to accept, 3 continents they have to accept. Everything ready. If IOA can take the world of yoga into all, because of introducing it as an International Day of Yoga, why can't we for yoga competitions? The field of yoga asana competitions are great, but we have to determine how it has to be moved up. These science present scenario is very auspicious, and the August gathering, we will think positively and we will make the world to have the yogic life at the maximum. That is my point. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nimrod sir, for giving us another perspective. And having been someone who has spent most of my life at a grassroots level with the young kids, seeing the impact that the Yogasana competitions had on social transformation. Because many of the young people, if you look at the USA, if you look at all the neglected populations in USA, especially the African Americans and all, how did the social change came? It came through sport. So sport as a catalyst of social transformation, there are opportunities. And as Ilagovan sir said, the horse is already bolted. What can we do to keep the yoga? Because as Swami Ullasa put it, take the yoga out of it and then it's just an asana competition and it's easier, but even do you call it asana? And this is where our efforts were closer to what Mayur Karthik was saying, where we try to make sure that the young people would also have a philosophical understanding. You are tested on philosophical understanding, you are tested on capacity to give a speech on yoga. That would be part of it. So we had a Best Youth and Child Awards where the kids would they would have a fancy dress in yoga. So a yogi fancy dress, somebody would dress up as Panchakosha. Another person would do a yoga talent show. So what can you do that is related to yoga so that you catch especially the children? Because today what is happening is we lose the children otherwise, and sport is a very good place to catch. But I think the greatest danger here, being in this field for so long, is that the people who are coaching those athletes, as they call them, it's an odd term even for me at times, but the people who are coaching, if they say win, 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 win at any cost, it is definitely anti-yoga. And this is where we took the approach with the young people. If you win, you have won, good. If you don't win also, you have learned something in the process, you are also a winner. So you win when you win, and you win when you lose. Not that you lose, you are a learner. So I think part of the responsibility is the people who are training them. And the same we have had when it came up with yoga therapy. Do you just stop at curing or mitigating the symptoms, which is then what I call yogopathy? I say it's not yoga chikitsa like allopathy, naturopathy, homeopathy. Yogopathy is where you are just rectifying the symptoms. Person has no idea about yoga. So is it an entry point? And can we keep an entry point where people can come? These are some questions that come up. I would have wished to have gone for a few more rounds on this, but we are running late. So just, yes, please, from Rao sir, yes.
Can I speak?
A few moments, yes sir. Maximum 3 minutes sir, because we are running late. That's why I'm cutting short actually in the panel. Yes, please sir. You want to share? You can keep it.
No, wait, take this one.
Ganesh,
No, I just want to share my thoughts on this because I am directly an interested party in the discussion which is going on. I played 17 years professional soccer. 5 national championships I played. I was in 1982 Asian Games. So I think I should speak on this topic. So I have seen both sides. On one side I have seen sports, professional sports, and I beg to differ on 2-3 points. Okay. First I beg to differ on what Ullasji said, that in sport there is no subjectivity. I think there is total subjectivity. A professional sports person has to first win over himself, then win the competition. Okay, that's fine. That is not important. Now I'm talking about.
So just to add to this point,
Yeah.
see, it's one thing to use yoga to perform better.
Yeah, I'm coming
It's
to
another thing to compete in yoga. I'm not disputing on it, I agree with you.
So sports is not totally objective, there is a lot of subjectivity because while going to a professional competition where there are 50,000-60,000 people standing in the stadium, when you are wearing your laces, there are people whose hands start shivering because the stadium is shouting, ooh, ooh, ooh. So you have to first manage your mind, so there is a lot of subjectivity involved. Even a 100-meter sprinter, when he's standing with the whistle there, get set, go. Yeah. His mental state is such that in so that 100-meter sprinter who is standing on the line with the person just get set, go. In that one moment when the sound of the gun goes, if there is even little bit delay, he loses the race. The preparation of the mind is much more in sports, professional sports at a very high level. Okay. But then what I want to say is, if we make asanas a sport, then it is not asanas. Whether it is yoga asanas or asanas, if it is made a sports, as Professor said, that it has to be measurable, it has to be quantified, it has to be statistically analyzed, then what you can measure, analyze is only the physical part. But asanas is not physical. How will you measure the state of the mind with which the person is doing asanas there? So are we measuring and giving championship based upon the final posture that the person takes? In which case a gymnast is the best yogi. The whole question is, when a person is doing the asana, how will you measure the state of the mind with which he is coming to the asana? If you are not measuring that, then you are not measuring an asana. Then asana cannot become a competition. It cannot, because you are measuring only the physical part which can be seen, which can be measured, which can be statistically analyzed. Fine, everything is okay. But the main crux, the essence of the asana is taken away when you are not considering the state of the mind with which the person is coming, the state of the mind which the asana leads the person to. Two persons doing the same asana, the same posture may not be equal, because the state of mind may be completely different there. So how, in the process of converting asana to sport, are we taking away the essence of the asana? This is a question to be answered. So it is neither this side or that side. We have to answer this question. It's not so simple that okay, let's. And personally, I believe that popularity is not necessary for something which is very important in life. It is quality which is important. If quality is there, quality comes automatically. You don't have to have followers to make the subject important. The subject gets its importance because it has got essence and importance in itself. It is not whether people follow it or not so that it becomes important. That is the present case. That okay, what Anandji was talking about FOMO, no, fear of missing out, when how many hits you are getting in the screen. No, we don't require hits in yoga. We require people who are genuinely, authentically in the field of yoga, where there is a personal growth happening from inside, sharing with him. The subjectivity has to grow. And that will happen when asanas retain their yogic nature, their subjective nature, and probably competition will go away from there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
it is very interesting because the idea is, this is not a debate, it's putting ideas out, and a few minutes to Ilangovan sir also.
See, that's what I told you, that it has to, that IOA should form a committee and they have to decide what are all the drawbacks in the competition, how it can be emulated.
Absolutely.
For example, I accept at present scenario, under 14 category children, they are doing Purna asanas. That is, they are doing advanced asanas. But that kind of asanas won't be acceptable scientifically. So we have to sit together and let us get the opinion from the scientific side and let us get the opinion from the yogic acharyas. Then the thing is, we have to popularize yogic concept. That is the main thing. So let us all together think positively and act positively. Thank you very much.
Hello, just one minute on this. In sports, you have got sports which are individual and group. So tennis is individual more, of course, two people play. But you have got group, like cricket, just one minute. Cricket and other. In yoga also, you have the same category in the sports. You know, why I came here is Krishnamacharya, earliest, I am not able to show it here, in his Yoga Shala, he has given a group where children will be doing yoga and elders will be standing on top of the children. And he has shown beautifully that. And every time Yoga Shala is visited in Mysore, he will make this type of group. So supposing you have group, so group A will do, group B will do. There will be a group activity and they will, the talents will be assembled and it will become positive. See, certain things we cannot stop. It has started, it is moving. Yoga and sports cannot be stopped. Let us do it in positive way.
Thank you so much. In fact, thank you so much, Sridhar sir. In fact, this has been one of the prime ideas, is that developing positive peer pressure rather than negative peer pressure for the young people, creating a healthy community through the activities. So I think what we need is a refinement. And again, how I like to say this, and I'm going to end with that actually, is the tree yoga has many branches. One of the new branches is Yogasana sport. So rather than say, let's cut the branch, can we see how it can be made healthy? Because if we look at the real yoga, we cannot have yoga therapy, we cannot have scientific research in yoga, because all that has a lot of externalization. So these can be understood as newer developments. What we have to make sure is that development is a development and not a mutation. And that is why, there are two ways to deal. When there is a problem, there are two ways to deal with it. One is saying there is a problem, I will not go there. Second is there is a problem, let me see how I can solve it. So I believe that IYA has taken a decision. The reason this panel came up, and we had wanted Jaideep Bhaiya to be here, who's moving Yogasana sports so that they get, from the horse's mouth. But the reason we wanted this is IYA took a decision not to actively support it. But the institutions of IYA who were interested to go with it could go with it. That was the decision that was made, so that some of the institutions are fully in favor of it, some are totally against it, and some are in between. So the idea was that following a democratic principle, we take it forward. A very beautiful panel. I thank our wonderful panelists, Swami Ullasa, Mayur Karthi, Professor Ilangovan, and the co-author member, Dr. Ganesh Rao, and thank you so much. Let's give them a big round of applause. Yeah, I learned from here.
We can do ourselves.
So, the good mic keeps changing. It's like, whenever you have a mic, it's not so good like the others. Same thing happens when you get married. Okay? Those who are in the know will understand. Okay? Anyway, sorry. Sorry, no offense meant to anybody, especially to my wife. Anyway. We take this occasion to honor our panelists. I request our senior most member, Sridhar sir. I also request Ganesh Rao sir to be here to honor. Please come. We need you here. The whole Yoga Chikitsa awards that we are receiving is thanks to his guidance for our committee.